All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, FLEA Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mike Ellen. As always, I'm joined by
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
Woo! And this week, it is your pick. And you picked my favorite Jim Starlin comic, but it's not by Jim Starlin.
That's right. I went for the really good Warlock.
Woo!
Warlock issue 6, 1973.
The Power of Warlock, right?
Well, technically, but I don't know if that's the official title. I think it's just Warlock, but because back then they always had like a line. They always remember Beware the Claws of the Cat.
And, sure.
But then it's really just the cat, so I guess it's still just Warlock. But yeah, this is, I was being sarcastic with the better Warlock because yeah, this was when Warlock was terrible.
Yes.
And it wasn't until Jim Starlin came in that he kind of got some attention and stuff.
Right.
But what do you know about the Warlock, Michael? Do you know where he made his first appearance?
I believe it was Fantastic Four number 66.
That is correct. Wow, 1967, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
That's right.
Would you like to explain that first appearance?
Well, it's been a while since I read it, but all I know is that at the time he was named Him.
Yes.
Right? And he was a guy grown in a cocoon.
Yes, by a research group known as the Enclave.
Okay.
They were attempting to produce a powerful new race of humans to take over the world. And so they called him Him. And when he emerged from his cocoon now, he found out about his creator's evil intentions, and he rebelled against them.
Awesome. And he had gold skin, and I think at the time he was like naked with gold skin, right?
It was like orange. It was similar to the color he had, because modern Warlock kind of has like orangish skin.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar. He had white pants, the white underpants. He came out of the cocoon wearing white underpants, and he had like a yellow hair, like a Caesar haircut.
Right. Cool.
And he, the first thing he did once he rebelled against his evil creators, he went and kidnapped Lady Sif from Asgard.
Oh, cool.
Because he wanted to mate her, I guess.
Huh.
But Thor battled him to a bloody pulp. Really, just beat the piss out of him, and so him went back in his cocoon and shot himself off into space. Really?
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the last we saw of him until Warlock Marvel Premiere issue 1, 1972.
Right.
That's when Warlock pops up as officially Warlock.
Yeah, so it's Marvel Premiere featuring the Power of Warlock number 1. But I think after the first two, Marvel Premiere would just focus on someone else, right? I think.
Yeah, then it went into its own series that we're reading here today. But that first appearance was Marvel Premiere 1, 1972, and this version of Warlock was created by our boy Roy.
Roy the Boy, yep.
And his inspiration was Jesus Christ Superstar. He was watching that musical, Jesus Christ Superstar, and he said he wanted to create like a Christ-like figure who would not be, aggressive or violent or, necessarily trying to fight. He was trying to bring humanity together and save humanity, I guess.
Right.
So that was the idea behind Warlock.
That's cool.
Yeah, I suppose. And so the way he went from him to Warlock is a fella by the name of the High Evolutionary.
Right.
Yeah, I guess everyone's familiar with him, right? The Evolutionary Wars. Remember that terrible crossover?
Oh, yes. That was, I think, wasn't that the first inter-annual crossover, I think?
It was up there.
Yeah.
Like Atlantis Attacks was right around that. I guess after that, right?
Yeah, but, so I think Evolutionary War was first, yep.
Anyway, the High Evolutionary found Warlock's cocoon floating in space.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, the High Evolutionary had created what he called Counter-Earth.
Yeah.
So I guess for you DC kids, it would be like Earth 2.
A little bit.
Yeah. But Counter-Earth was on the opposite side of the sun, and it was like synced out of our reality by like 1 second or something. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so we would never be able to see it. But it was there, and it was exactly like our Earth, but it was Counter-Earth. And the High Evolutionary was famous for like evolving animals into like humans,
Yeah.
Like that was his gimmick, right?
Right.
Like who was Bova? Wasn't that the lady cow?
Yes. I read about Bova, I think, in an issue of Marvel 2-in-1 or something.
Yeah, she raised the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, at least originally there for a while. And then another example, I guess Wolverine was originally supposed to be a evolved Wolverine. But they changed that idea. They said, "No, we're going to."
Let's thank the gods they changed that, right?
But that's what this high evolutionary does. He mutate or evolves animals and all kind of things. So one of these things that he did this was with a wolf. Oh, I'm sorry. You love how I say wolf.
Yeah, it sounds like you say woof, woof.
Yeah, that's Western PA. Wolf. He did this with a wolf.
There you go.
And the wolf became evil, and he became known as the man beast.
Ah, yes, man beast. Okay.
You're familiar with this person?
I've heard of the man beast. I'm going to Google man beast right now.
So, man beast tried to take over the high evolutionary's little lab or whatever, and he was defeated several times. And he was, I don't know, thrown out into space or something, but he keeps coming back because he's the man beast. So man beast decides, I'm going to take over counter Earth. So that's what he did. He took over counter Earth. So now the high evolutionary has to find a way to defeat the man beast. And while this is all good, because man beast tried to attack his ship and stuff, and all this is going on. And here Warlock's already on the ship in the cocoon. And while man beast is fighting high evolutionary, the cocoon opens up and Warlock emerges and he beats man beast, drives him off. And then he says, I want to do good for humanity. I want to save this counter Earth. So let me go fight the man beast. I will conquer the man beast. So the high evolutionary says, all right, that's a good deal. Saves me from doing it. But hey, Warlock. Well, he doesn't call him Warlock yet. He says, hey, let me give you something. He gives him the soul gem.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, one of them infinity gems.
Right.
The soul gem. Puts it right up on his forehead. Boom. Smacks it up there. He says, here, that'll help you on your quest. So the guy, not known as Warlock yet, goes flying back down to the counter Earth. But when he's leaving, high evolutionary says, your powers are so uncanny and it'll seem like magic or whatever to the normal man, so they will call you Warlock. And that's how he got his name.
Really? Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So then he lands on counter Earth, and that's what this series is about, him pursuing the man beast to try and save counter Earth.
Interesting.
I guess. When he lands on Earth, I'm just going to call it Earth, but it's counter Earth. When he lands there, 4 teenagers befriend him, and they take him through counter Earth, show him the world and everything. And one of them, a girl, she calls him Adam.
Ah, okay.
So that's how he got the Adam part of Adam Warlock. I'm not sure why she called him Adam. I guess because he's the first man. I guess it's the first man situation, biblical reference.
Right.
But so she calls him Adam Warlock. And would you like to describe what he looks like to the kids?
Yeah. Well, first we should say that I think this is his second of 4 looks, because like you said, you're talking about Warlock, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when Warlock was first introduced, he just had gold or orange skin and just underwear. In this story, in this era, he has yellow boots, red underwear, a red shirt that only kind of goes over his shoulders and down the middle of his chest. And it has a Captain Marvel lightning bolt on it, yellow.
That's exactly what it is, because they were inspired. They drew they wanted it to look like Captain Marvel. That's
right. So. There was a lot of those back then. The Flash did it. Doc Savage did it. But then besides that, he's also got
Doc Savage didn't do it.
No, not Doc Savage. Doc Samson from the Hulk.
Yeah,
remember him? Yeah.
Don't besmirch Doc Savage, because Michael, since we did our Doc Savage issue, I'm way into Doc Savage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening to a Doc every day. I like to take naps, so every day when I take a nap, I put on a Doc Savage audiobook and take a nap.
You go to sleep.
So yeah, I'm way into Doc Savage though.
Yeah. Cool. You can do a Doc Savage podcast?
Maybe I will. Yeah.
Maybe. All right. So anyway, but Warlock has also got gold, what are those called? Bracelets, and gold one gold bracelet around his right bicep, and then a gold belt. It almost looks like something He-Man would wear, And
he's got the blonde hair.
And and he's got the soul gem on his forehead. But I do want to point out that after this, he got a slight costume update by Jim Starlin, where I think he basically just got rid of the what's it called, the lightning bolt. Other than that, it's pretty much
got
the
a
same.
cape. I
And
think
he got a cape,
right?
And then later, when they did Infinity Gauntlet, he got a completely different costume that was like all black with kind of like orange long gloves and orange long boots and then a red cape. But I prefer, I don't know, I kind of prefer the cape look, you know?
So this Warlock series only ran 8 issues from 72 to 73. The issue we're reading today is from 1973. And then some plot lines were tied up in Incredible Hulk issues 176 to 178, 1974.
Right.
So I don't know why that was happening, but like why? I guess probably Roy Thomas was.
Yeah, that's how they did it, right? They'd be like, well, now I'm writing The Champion, so I'll just wrap up the story I did 2 years ago in whatever book was canceled, you know? So that's why you got to jump around to follow these things.
In 1975, Jim Starlin then revived Warlock in Strange Tales, issue 178 to 181, and he made his adventures more cosmic in scope. So they were no longer concerned with Earth, Counter Earth, or Earth 2 or whatever. So I'm trying to think why Starlin. I read, Starlin was doing Captain Marvel, and I meant to look this up, and I forgot. So maybe you know, Michael, from your vast comic book knowledge. But he said he left Captain Marvel because of creative differences.
Ah, okay.
Like, but do you know what those differences were?
No, I honestly have no idea. However, if we were to look who was editing those issues, we'd probably find out, right? Like, it could have been Jim Shooter, could have been Jerry Conway, right? A lot of people had problems with Jerry Conway, right?
Yeah, this would have been, early 70s, so it wouldn't have been Shooter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, while we're talking, I can
But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
I'll look them up.
Because I guess, I think it was Roy maybe asked him, hey, well, what do you want to do? What other character do you want to do? And he just looked around of what characters no one was using or anything, and he wanted the idea of a savior kind of character. Like, that's what he was trying to do with Captain Marvel. And so he's like, oh, well, here's a guy who's already kind of doing it. I'll just rehash
transplant my story ideas over to this guy.
Yeah, I'll just revitalize Adam Warlock because he's kind of like the formula's right there. So here we go. So that's why he took over Warlock, and so he picked up the series. They just started numbering it with issue 9 in 1975. And it ended with issue 15 in 1976. So not all that successful. But during that run, he brought in like Thanos and Gamora and, Infinity Gems and stuff were in there. So all kind of stuff. Then in 1991, the Infinity Gauntlet. That's the big story. And that was Starlin again, bringing in Warlock. And then we have Warlock and the Infinity Watch.
Right.
In 1992 to 1995, that was a regular series and lasted for 42 issues. That is what our buddy Cousin Brandon was reading.
Right.
When he thought he was reading Quasar, remember?
Oh, right.
He's reading
right, yep.
Warlock and the Infinity Watch. So there you go. But so you don't get all these Marvel movies without our buddy Warlock because, all that Infinity Gauntlet stuff kind of started with him.
Right. And just so you know, I should point out the editor on those issues where Jim Starlin was having problems was Roy the Boy Thomas. So maybe he was the one.
That's weird.
Yep. So maybe he was the one that was interfering. I don't know.
So maybe that's why he said, well, I'll let you pick whoever else you want, or I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, I need to research that more. Maybe in a future episode we'll figure it out.
There you go.
Sorry. The writer here is Mike Friedrich. We've talked about him many times.
Ghost Rider, right?
Yes. Yeah, if you go back to the Ghost Rider episode, we get all his background. Roy Thomas did issue 1 of the series. Then Friedrich did issues 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. And a fellow named Ron Goulart did issue 5. Do you know Ron Goulart at all?
No, I don't. Nope. Not really.
I guess he went on to do a bunch of like novelizations of stuff, and but he also did all the Tech War stuff with William Shatner.
Okay.
He wrote every issue of the Tech War comic book in the 90s for Marvel.
Wow.
And he ghost wrote all of Shatner's Tech War novels.
Really?
Like Shatner took the credit, but this guy wrote them all. So.
Of course, yeah.
The artist here is a fellow named Bob Brown. Maybe we'll talk about him later, or do you want to talk about him now?
It's up to you. Whatever you want.
Let's talk about him later.
Okay.
Let's split it up. All right, let's get to the book. Or is there anything else about Warlock you'd like to say?
No, only that I was first exposed to him via Infinity Gauntlet, and then I read there was a great Baxter reprint series of Starlin's run. I read all those as a kid, and I loved them. I don't know if you've read them, but they're great.
Yeah, I never read any Warlock. This is my first.
Oh wow, yeah, this is not a good first impression. We'll get to that later. But anyway, you know what? We should also. I mean, are we gonna go into explain Counter Earth a little bit, or just as we go?
We'll just go as we go along.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talk about the comic now.
Yep.
All right, Warlock, Marvel Comics Group, 20 cents, number 6, June. We got our little corner circle here with an image that I'm going to guess is drawn by Gil Kane. It's just Warlock standing there. It's a cool shot. What do you think? No?
I don't know. I mean, it could be. It's so small,
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think it's...
Gil Kane did a lot of the covers.
Right.
He didn't do this cover, though.
This looks like John Romita?
That is correct. John Romita Sr.
So yeah, the power of Warlock. It's a nice red background. We've got this pretty freaking cool shot of Warlock, who's kind of like standing in a Kirby pose, like getting ready to fight, and he's facing Reed Richards in a suit, but Reed Richards is changing into a beast. And so there's kind of like a ghost image of Reed Richards, and then another ghost image of the creature, and then another image kind of all mixed together of the creature at full size. And Reed Richards is saying, Warlock, please, my name is Reed Richards, and I need your help, for I'm changing into... Too late, fool! Now there is no more Reed Richards! Now there's only the Brute! The Brute.
Yeah.
And they're standing on like a bridge that looks like it's in New York City or something. And there's like a car in the background.
I think it's actually the Golden Gate Bridge, no?
Oh, is it? Okay. In the background, you see a guy, like a civilian pointing at them, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, but this cover's great.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Yeah, notice the tire fell off that guy's car, so I guess he ran into the Brute, but I don't know, I'm very confused because he's just turning into the Brute, so...
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's a great cover, though, you're right.
Like like you mentioned, that Kirby-esque pose of, I always called him Quasar, of Warlock, is awesome.
Yeah.
So.
I love this. Anyway, so then we crack it open. The Power of Warlock, Mike Friedrich, and introducing Bob Brown, which we'll talk about later because he'd been drawing comics since the 1940s.
Yeah, introducing Bob Brown for this book, but not...
Right. Or for maybe Marvel, but we'll find out. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
I don't even think for Marvel, just for this book, I believe.
Okay. And then it says story plot, Ron Goulart, from an idea by Roy Thomas, editor. So it says the Golden Gladiator's grimmest challenge, the Brute. So, and then above that it says, here's the scene, people. California on Counter Earth, a world much like our own, spinning on the far side of the sun. So we see Warlock getting attacked by these 3 helicopters. And they're like, surrender, Adam Warlock, you'll die. Never will I stand at a fire bite and shall ever match it with my own power. So yeah, and this is not a great shot, in my opinion.
It's a big splash page. Like you said, the helicopters are attacking him. The composition's fine, I guess, but the legs from the waist down, he like crammed the legs into the panel, and it's just... Yeah,
the anatomy's all wacky.
It would have been better if he just had the legs run off the panel.
Right.
But...
Yeah, and then, see, this is rough, because we have to point out that Counter Earth is not exactly like Earth. And knowing that, the editors or writers decided, okay, well, we got to explain that to the reader. So then they're like, since 1906, San Francisco... Okay, so they're talking about our Earth, but on this Earth, I guess there was an earthquake that like destroyed San Francisco, right?
Well, the San Andreas Fault, it caused all the big earthquakes. And yeah, because this, actually, they're detailing things that happened in earlier issues of Warlock.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not, they're kind of recapping. They're not like just, whatever.
So yeah, because of this earthquake, then I guess they created these things called death birds, outlawed weapons deemed the most monstrous in human invention, which Quake launched from earthen graves, like deadly drones seeking target queens, blasted Warlock instead with the power to obliterate mountains. And then we see Warlock getting hit by these missile things, and he's like recoiling back in a position that would break a human's back, but whatever.
Yeah, because he's not human. He's Warlock.
Okay. So then we cut over to this flashback with the Counter-Earth version of Doctor Doom, which I guess is a good guy here.
Yes, that's the key point here. In Counter-Earth, Doctor Doom is a good fella, and he just wears a suit and a shirt and tie, and is just a metal head.
Right.
Like there's no cloak on him or anything, just a metal head.
Right.
Kind of like Destro.
Yeah, right. And then, and so yeah, this is all flashbacks, I guess, because we can tell by the curved panel borders, right? That's how we know.
Yeah.
And so they are on like this video phone thing, talking to, who is this? I don't even know who this is.
That's the president. President Carpenter.
Yeah, the President Carpenter. And they're just talking about what's going on. Go
he's
ahead.
saying that the president is announcing that Warlock is an enemy of the people.
Right.
Because he was a hero. Because he destroyed those birds or whatever, those metal birds. And so he was a hero. But then he's become a threat to us all. It is with a heavy heart that I make these statements. So I think they're blaming him for killing somebody. But it really wasn't his fault. But
right.
I don't know.
So then we see like the U.S. Army like attacking, like we see like, helicopters, jeeps, whatever the, personnel carriers. And then there's, by order of the United States president, I demand Adam Warlock's surrender. And then all of Adam Warlock's buddies are like, shove it, piggy. And then the guy's like, all right, disperse. We'll use tear gas if you keep blocking us. And so they're arguing back and forth. So all of Warlock's friends are trying to protect him, but then a helicopter comes in and shoots a missile at him. Wham! Warlock gets shot.
Well, Mike, before that, there's one of the military guys is saying, I'm just following the president's orders, mister. He's talking to Dr. Doom.
Oh, right. I like this.
But personally, I believe him over a gold-skinned freak. And Dr. Doom says, a blatant racist too, huh?
So, what a low life. Yep. Nice. Yep. Dealing with politics. And
the helicopter comes in. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that shoots him. And this is where he activates his soul. And it's called the soul jewel here. You notice that?
Oh, they never say gem?
I guess not. And it's funny because in the movies, they actually changed it to stones, right? Soul, like the Infinity Stones, because it's not cool to call them gems.
Yeah, because then it'd be like, what was that book we read?
Amethyst. Yeah. But this is a soul jewel, so whatever.
Soul jewel.
So then Adam Warlock's trying to figure out what to do, so he's like, too many innocents in the area. So then he just decides to like fly away, and all the helicopters follow him. And then Dr. Doom gets on the horn. He's trying to talk to the president, but, the president's not listening to him. And he's like, you abuse your hotline privilege, professor. Hangs up on him. Shows him who's boss, right?
Yeah.
So then Dr. Doom's like, oh no, what am I going to do now? So then he's like, even my closest colleague doesn't believe me. Why does Warlock scare everyone so? Yet Reed seemed personally distant. I wonder if something strange is going on. And we cut over to the shot of Reed Richards. With
yeah, you missed the part where he called Reed Richards.
Oh, like yes. Yeah, sorry. So he called Reed Richards, and Reed Richards he's like, well, Vic, I'm sorry, but I've got more pressing problems just now. And Dr. Doom, and can't be bothered, right, friend? I understand. Sorry. So that was when Reed Richards hung up. And then it's funny because it's like we don't know why he's preoccupied, but then the next panel right below it, we see this shot of Reed Richards holding the phone with his two gigantic, like, brute arms. So normal body, but two brute arms.
Yeah, they're big purple monster arms.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then, this is so awkward. So now we're in a new scene for one panel, and then right away we cut to him flashing back to how he met Dr. Doom in college. So we see them, together in a dorm. We see them, performing experiments with like beakers and Bunsen's and all that. And then,
beakers and Bunsen's.
And then it's Dr. Doom that has the accident. He like smashes some beaker and then it explodes in his face. He's like, arg. And then Reed Richards is like, Vic. And then we cut to Victor Von Doom all covered in bandages in like a hospital bed. And then by the next shot, he's now got his classic Doctor Doom mask, right? And he's like still doing experiments, but now he's got his Doctor Doom mask.
Yeah, but one key point here is when he's all bandaged up in the hospital, his face buried, wanting to give up, Reed Richards is there to give him a pep talk. You can't let this stop you, Vic. You are still the greatest. You've got to pull yourself together. So in Counter, Reed Richards and Dr. Doom are bestest chums.
Right.
Yeah.
There were college roommates in the regular Marvel universe, but I guess not this close, right?
Yeah, they were kind of more like rivals, weren't they? Like,
they were roommates or something, but they definitely knew each other in college for sure.
Yeah, but they weren't chums. They
maybe not. I can't remember. They weren't chums. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then we cut to...
They weren't going bowling together. Let's put it that way.
They weren't doing double dating. Right.
No.
So then we cut over to the fateful day, the March Ides in the year 1961. And we see a replay of that classic scene from FF number 1 where 4 people are sneaking onto a rocket to fly it into space. They want to be the first in space. And then it takes off, and then the narration's like, yet like his True Earth counterpart, Richards dared the danger, so it was Professor Doom's turn to stand behind his friend, and he thus wished him Godspeed, praying all the while Reed would return unaltered. So we see the Fantastic Four get hit by the cosmic rays. They crash back onto Earth, but what happens when they wake up? Oh no. Sue Richards is in a coma. Everyone else is fine. No one else gets powers except Reed Richards. So, right?
Yeah, it's not that he gets powers necessarily. He kind of gets cursed in a way.
Well,
but the reason they don't get the powers is because Man Beast controls Counter Earth, and he didn't want any superhuman beings there on Counter Earth to fight him. So he made sure that they did not get superhuman powers.
So this is kind of like a bad what if, you could say, in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. So then it cuts back to the present, and Reed Richards is like, my head, my hands throbbing with pain. Those accursed rays did affect me, mutating my flesh, my bones, my being into what can only be called the Brute. So then now he's just this big gray monster.
That's still a flashback, though. That's not the...
Oh, yeah, right. You're right, yes. Yeah. It's flashback, so then he smashes... this machine in front of him. Why me? Why did it happen to me? Why? But there's no answer. And then only a quick sudden shudder. And then, what? I'm changing back to normal. So then Reed Richards goes back to normal. And then we see him changing again. And then...
because he was trying to control the change.
Right,
to show that
right.
He could kind of
So it's kind of like the Thing.
But then we cut back to the present day. And he's full on Brute now, and there's a guy in the doorway, in shadows, commanding the Brute.
Yes. And he's like, and then obviously Reed Richards knows this guy because he's like, you? And the guy's like, surprise Brute, why? When I designed this secret passage and had a hidden hand in your becoming the Brute, now I have a task for you. And he's like, oh, I love this. This is my favorite part of the whole book. This is the Brute's dialogue. Never! I'll do whatever you say. I love it. And the guy's like, excellent, my hypnotized lackey. Now listen. So he's obviously giving him orders.
His eyes are glowing there in the shadows. So I'm guessing the implication is he hypnotized him with his eyes. Now, do you care to guess who that guy is?
Is this Man Brute? No, I guess it can't be, right?
Well, Man Beast.
Or Man Beast.
Yeah, it is Man Beast, and his human guise, but do you know who that human is in this story?
No. Who is it?
I believe it's the president.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. A little twist there. I like it.
So the president is secretly the Man Beast.
Right. So then we cut over to Warlock walking along. This is now 30 hours later. That's important. And, someone walks up behind him. He's like, what? And then he cuts over, and it's this woman named Estrella.
Yeah, now Estrella is the sister of the president.
Ah, they're all connected. I like it.
Yeah, and Warlock and her, I guess, I don't know, they're not like lovers, but I guess they met before, and, she's a foxy lady, so they hang out together.
And then she's got this little, star, I guess, is that a tattoo on her cheek?
I guess, hippies and all.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but anyway. Yeah. So then she gives him some clothes, and he gets dressed up in a suit and tie.
Well, yeah, because she wants to, he's hiding from the law and whatnot.
Right,
so,
right.
But there's some conflict here, Michael, because she's secretly setting him up for a trap.
Ah. Yeah, she's like, he's so trusting, he scares me. What would he think if he knew everything I told him was a lie? A setup. I feel like a heel. So then we cut over to, so they're driving on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yep.
And then they come to a traffic jam. And it appears to be an accident of some nature. Nothing serious, I presume. And then we see a bunch of cars go flying, and then we find out it's the man brute that's thrown them, or just the brute. Sorry, the brute.
Yeah, just the brute. Yeah, don't confuse your man beast with your brute.
Yeah, I never want to do that.
And man beast.
And I'd see, I don't like this. It's one thing to have these cheesy nicknames for everyone at Marvel, but he's reusing Thor's nickname, which is Goldilocks. He's like, you, Goldilocks, you I want, you, brute kills. Maybe he's on counter.
Pretty much anyone with blonde hair gets called Goldilocks. So I don't know if it's Thor's nickname. But,
So then Adam Warlock tells Estrella to get away. And then he rips off his suit and tie to reveal his costume underneath. And then he starts fighting Brute. And then Brute, smashes this car and we see it go flying. Hopefully there's no people inside, right? Then he throws another car at him and Warlock leaps out of the way, like leaping Lanny Poffo.
Oh, nice. Nice wrestling reference.
Reference there, yep. And then this is kind of cool, actually. I like this. Brute grabs, the cables that hold up the suspension bridge and, rips them so that, those big suspension things, rip off and we see, the bridge kind of cracking. It's kind of cool. We see cars falling into the ground. It's a great, idea, but it's not drawn that well, but it's a cool scene. So then Adam Warlock is like, he's like, I gotta fix this. So then he uses his soul jewel. He's like, I must look to my soul and use its energy to reform the span's molecules back to their original state. So we see him it looks like he's melting the metal to fix the bridge. And then Brute jumps on him and then they fall into the river or the bay or whatever it is. And now they're under the water, wrestling under the water, and Adam Warlock kicks him in the face and then swims away. So yeah, I'm not sure what his powers are, but he certainly can't breathe underwater, right?
Well, that's what I don't get, because later on he can clearly fly through space.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right, good point. It's
I was confused by this.
Yeah, he's to wrench himself free, to conserve precious oxygen, to send in his arms stroking to the surface. Stroking.
Yeah.
So then he's just out of the water, and then Brute grabs him by the foot, but then Adam Warlock is faster, and so his soul jewel flares on, mystically attuning itself to the Brute's molecular composition, devolving it back to its former state. And so then we see he's turned back into Reed Richards. And then Adam Warlock is like, then Brute was a man. Wait, I recognize this man, the Reed Richards of this counter Earth. And there's a little note at the bottom, Warlock having battled the true Earth Reed as him in FF 66 to 67. It gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
So then he pulls him out of the drink, and then all the helicopters are flying towards him. Then, of course, they start shooting at him. Quam. And then a soldier shooting at him. And there's more little notes at the bottom. So the soldier's shooting at him, and then he's like, and then the narration's like, but a memory gives him pause, a recollection of an almost dream in which he faced a similar soldierly threat and murdered in response. And then the note says, in Warlock number 2. And then it says, that hypnotic near event haunts a pure seeking soul with the dark underside of his own nature. Thus remembered, Warlock chooses not to return death with death, but to turn his cheek to contrary winds, just like Jesus, right?
That's right. Turn the other cheek.
So then he flies away. And I remember it was funny. This is the point of the story where I was like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to end? Don't worry, there's only one more page. So then he goes back to the mountain cabin overlooking Lumpico Canyon. And
I guess Estrella had given him these directions before.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know. We never saw that.
Yeah.
But I guess he at some point gave him these directions.
So then he goes into this cabin and he's like, Von Doom. And Von Doom's like, Warlock. And he's like, then I am at the correct place. I assume so. From the mess, I'd guess it's a writer's pad. Little inside joke. But neither he nor the girl who told me to come here is here. Yes, that would be Estrella. Then where is she and the others? She promised. So then, as they're trying to figure out what's going on, all of a sudden some guy kind of falls through the doorway. And they're like, Jason Gray! And it's this guy we've never seen before, right?
Well, yeah, but he's one of those 4 teenagers that befriended Warlock when he came to Counter. So he's a regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, Adam, and I got stinking news for you. And then I love this, a response from Doom. Come on, out with it, man! Because that's how Dr. Doom talks. And Jason Gray's like, they got us all. Only I escaped. We're in trouble, Adam. We gotta go. What a cliffhanger! Then it says, Underground, continued next issue. Ish.
Yep. There you go.
So, yeah. The
Warlock
end.
issue 6. How about that?
Woo!
Did you notice, like, most of this book, I would say, well, maybe it's like 60-40 narration.
Yeah.
Over dialogue. There's a lot of narration.
And a lot of flashback, and a lot of explanation.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's rough.
Because nowadays you don't really see, I don't know, Michael, you read more comic books than me these days, but do they use a lot of narration to tell the stories? Isn't it mostly in like...
Oh, no, comics take 5 minutes to read now because it's just, dialogue and like empty panels basically. So. And
if it is narration, it's first person narration where like the characters speaking.
Usually. I mean, there's nothing wrong with narration if it's done well, but this is not great.
It's just
an observation.
Clearly a unique difference in this era of comic books then.
Okay.
But even for the 70s, I think this was pretty narration heavy though. It was pretty heavy. Yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of flashbacks. I like the conflict though, like Estrella backstabbing him, setting him up for a trap, and she's the president's sister, and so I like that kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, I read about High Evolutionary and Counter Earth and all that stuff when I was a kid, and I thought it was such a cool idea. And I'm assuming there's got to be some good stuff in maybe Thor or something, but I did not enjoy this Counter Earth thing at all. Like, I don't know, it just seemed pointless, Like,
what do you mean? It seemed pointless.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess I should have known that it was just going to be a duplicate of Earth. But then when you read up on it, you find out that I don't know if you read this, but Counter Earth for some reason is like really small compared to regular Earth. Did you know that?
Did not know that. I thought it was the exact same size.
No, that's what I mean. It's kind of like I mean, maybe this is my own fault for misunderstanding, but I thought that I was under the assumption that Counter Earth was like a weird version of Earth, but it's like, well, no, it's almost exactly the same. But if you read up on it, of course, I don't know where I saw this. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah, so Planet Earth.
Well, it's not like Earth 2 was a weird version of Earth 1 in DC. It's the same thing.
True. But I just, whatever. I thought because it was kind of, it was.
I think he went in with wrong expectations, and then they weren't met. You're angry.
Thing is that High Evolutionary created Counter Earth.
Yeah, because it was like to do like. So you're thinking he created it to do experiments with his animals?
Like I thought it would be just an Earth-like planet just inhabited by all these like Bova and all these other people. But then the fact that his
idea for creating it was to create a utopia. Like he wanted to see if he could make a modern Earth, but have it be peaceful and live in harmony. I guess.
So, but here's an example. So, planet Earth, our planet Earth, is the circumference is 40,000 kilometers. The circumference of Counter Earth is 7,926. Oh, why do they give miles? How do we convert that? Jeez.
You're Canadian. You should be able to convert that easy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's got to be. You know what? I'll have to figure that out. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pointless to give it in two different things. But anyway, so yeah, that's why I didn't like it.
Maybe it's the same exact size. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll find out right now. But anyway, so you weren't bothered by that?
No, I'm not bothered by it.
Okay.
Like I expected it to be exactly like our Earth, except Man Beast is trying to take it over now. He's causing shenanigans.
So you ready for this? So if Counter Earth is 7,000 miles in diameter, in kilometers that's 12,000. Okay, so 12,000 miles in diameter, but the real Earth is 40,000. So it's like
what do you think they left off, or do they just shrunk everything? I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know.
So
anyway, okay, that's just a minor thing, but
yeah.
Anyway,
so there you go.
But
Mike hates Counter Earth.
But
How big's Earth 2? I bet Earth 2 is huge. Earth 2 is way bigger.
No, I think it's exactly the same size. But anyway, you know what? Actually, here's a stupid fact for you. In the Avengers, what's it called? The Avengers Justice League crossover. I think they find out that DC's Earth is bigger. And the reason Kurt Busiek wrote that in there is to explain how there can be Metropolis and Gotham as well as New York and all these fictional cities. So he just made the planet bigger. I think that's idiotic, but whatever.
Yeah. That'll change a lot of stuff. Gravitational spin.
Exactly.
The climate. Yeah. So anyway, enough with the science, Michael. This isn't a science podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's a 1970s awesome comic book podcast.
It's definitely not a Doc Savage podcast.
Well, maybe someday.
Yep.
So all right. Anything else about the writing here? I mean, it's fine, but it's kind of like, not exactly exhilarating or.
No, the thing is, I don't hate it, but it's the kind of writing that just doesn't suck me in at all. It almost pushes me out because, again, flashback, and then you cut back, and there's another flashback, and it's just, I don't know, it's all over the place, Yeah,
they could have lost a couple flashbacks and maybe
focused
25% of the narration, knocked that down a bit.
Right.
Let it breathe, because there are a lot of yellow boxes on these panels. Holy fuck, there's a lot of yellow boxes. But it was nice seeing Dr. Doom in a suit.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, let's talk about the artist here, Bob Brown, born 1915 in Syracuse, New York. And he sadly passed away from leukemia in 1977 at the age of 61.
Oh, that's too bad.
His father owned a vaudeville theater, and his mother was a pianist. So Bob and his sister and brother performed in song and dance acts as kids.
Really?
They were, performers. Then he attended the Hartford Art School and the Rhode Island School of Design. He was drafted in 1940 and served in the Army Air Corps as an aircraft radio operator. He later became a bombardier and a navigator on a B-29 bomber in the Pacific Theater of World War II. He flew 35 missions over Japan and earned 6 medals and a Distinguished Flying Cross, which is awarded for heroism and extraordinary achievement while participating in an aerial flight.
Really?
So how about that? How many medals do you have, Michael?
0. Yeah. Unless you count track medals from grade school.
You have track medals?
That's right. I used to run in track and field. Bet you didn't know that.
What events? I don't see you doing anything running related. I just can't picture that.
No, I used to do, like 100-meter dash, 200-meter relay.
Really?
Yep. It's the only sport I was ever good at.
When was the last time you ran, Michael?
Oh boy, it wasn't a pretty sight. Basically, when I was like, I don't know, 28, me and my friend were like, let's have a race, and it wasn't pretty. But to be fair, like I can jog now, not well, but I can. Okay. I'm not fast though, but yeah.
Yeah, because Michael, I used to be really fast and I could run like the wind, and then but I didn't run for many, many years. And then 2 years ago, I tried. And I was like Herman Munster. My legs were not coordinated. They just did not work. And so I was back this summer. I was shooting a lot of hockey and stuff outside. So I kind of got back to I could jog and run a little bit. But it's not. Once you use it, you don't. Wait, what is the word? You don't use it, you lose it? Is that the first?
Whatever. Yeah. Well, but the other thing
because in my mind, I think I can still run that really fast.
Of course.
But then when I try, legs just do not work.
But also, to me, it's also the lungs do not work. Like, if I do anything, like, because I do work out, but if I do anything beyond the bare minimum of, like, working out and walking and maybe a little bit jogging, like, I get winded so easily, it's embarrassing. So, yeah, I'm definitely out of shape.
It's more just the legs with me, just the legs. But,
I got you, okay.
Anyway, I got to get back to Bob Brown.
Yeah, back to the comic books.
Hearing about your science and your track and field medals, it really distracts me.
Yeah.
Whole new sides of Mike L. He can convert kilometers into miles. He can run 100-yard dashes.
He can do it all.
Yep. All right, so Bob Brown, he started working in comics after the war, and his first regular gig was on the Vigilante feature in DC's Action Comics from 1951 to 1953. Do you know who the Vigilante was?
Yeah, he's a cowboy.
Okay.
I don't remember. I think he wore black and like a red mask. I think I'm pretty sure.
No, I'll believe you. But he did a ton of stuff in the 50s and in the 60s and stuff. And his biggest runs in comic book wise, because he did a lot of like Western stuff, House of Mystery, those kind of things, the typical from that era. But from 68 to 73, he did like 41 issues of Superboy.
Yes.
If you like the Superboy. And from also during that same time, 68 to 73, he did 37 issues of Detective Comics.
Yes. See, that's where I first came across Bob Brown. And I remember actually really liking his art in Batman. So
I think he was, I think I read he co-created, who's the guy? Ra's al Ghul or whatever? Is that his name?
Oh, yeah, Ra's al Ghul. He co-created him?
No. He co-created his daughter.
Talia.
Yeah, Talia.
Wow,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Interesting.
That's who he co-created. So then he went over to the Marvel, and he did 12 issues of the Avengers from 73 to 74. And that was during issues 113 to 126. He did 25 issues of Daredevil between issues 107 and 143 from 74 to 77. And he also did Warlock issues 6, 7, and 8.
Wow.
So he closed out the run. But he did a bunch of other stuff. But those are like the significant ones.
It's funny. I never hear anyone talk about him.
Yeah, because I guess that's what I was reading. A lot of people say he doesn't get the respect he deserves, at least people that worked with him. And they said one of the things was like here in the 70s when he was at Marvel, everyone was saying he kind of had an old style.
Right.
From like and you can definitely see it's like 50s, 60s kind of style. And I guess the editors were trying to tell him this is what we want now. And they would show him like stuff that they wanted now. And I can't remember who was saying this, but it was like an editor or something to work with. And he said Bob just couldn't grasp what they wanted because he said when he looked at it, he could just see a bunch of fundamental flaws in like structure and composition and storytelling. Right. And he's like, I don't understand. Like, this is flawed and you want me to do this? And they're like, yes. So he just could never catch on, I guess. He signed on to be the regular Wonder Woman artist. Really? In 1977, and he did issue 231, but that was the only issue he did because he died.
Oh.
Right? So that issue was published 2 weeks after he died. Like I mentioned, he had the leukemia. And then he, around that same time in 77, X-Men 106, he also did, and that also was published after his death. That was a fill-in issue.
Yes, I remember, yes.
I think Bill Mantlo wrote the issue. It was one of them fill-ins. And so, yeah, he had 2 books come out after his death, sadly.
Wow.
Bob Brown. There he is.
Huh.
I don't know. So what'd you think about... what'd you think about his... I was just paying respects to Bob Brown. What do you think about his work here this year in Warlock?
To be honest, I didn't think it was great.
Yeah, it's not awesome.
No. And I mean...
It's definitely older. Like, it's fine. Like, storytelling-wise, it's fine. And
right.
A lot of nice compositions, and there's some good action, like poses and scenes, some dynamic stuff. But overall, it's kind of like, dated and...
Well, the thing is it could be the inks by Tom Sutton. Maybe he has a little bit of the blame.
I liked a lot of the inking, but then like it would get into like if you look at that scene where they're fighting on the Golden Gate Bridge, like just out of nowhere, he'll put in all this cross thatching and on the one. And I liked it when he's working in solid blacks. I thought the inking was fine.
Well, here's the thing: like the shots of the Brute are actually really good, pretty good. Like like the shading of the muscles and the whatever you want to call it, the feathering is actually really good. And when you see the shot that introduces Estrella, she actually looks pretty hot. So clearly he knows how to draw women, right? I don't know. It's almost like the more I look at it, the more I like it. But
yeah, I don't hate it. It's just it is definitely more 50s style art.
Right. Well, here's the thing. The story you told me about the way that he saw like art in the 70s, it reminds me exactly of when Herb Trimpe was working at Marvel in the 90s, and they told him he had to draw more like Rob Liefeld, right? And
yikes.
And that happened with a lot of guys, and they're basically like, okay, so you mean draw badly then, right? Because they couldn't understand the appeal. And the thing is obviously I like 70s art, but the 70s art in Marvel, it was not as good as like Jack Kirby, John Romita Sr., John Buscema. There's no way. Like, as much as I like those guys, they just weren't in the same league, I don't think, as the 60s guys. So I understand where he's coming from, you know?
Yeah.
Crickets.
No, I hear you.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, because you like John Romita. You like Jack Kirby, right?
He's the best. Yeah.
There you go.
I respect Kirby. He's not like a favorite. But
All right.
Because I've said this before, but you know, Kirby, if he drew a guy, he drew Reed Richards with blonde hair, with brown hair.
Yeah, you could say that.
Every lady looked like Sue Storm, but anyway, Warlock. You know, one thing I like about Warlock, I went to mention, is they do it a lot in this issue, but it's not just Bob Brown and Tom Sutton. It's everybody who was drawing with this time. They do a lot of heavy black around the eyes.
Yes.
So a lot of heavy shadowing around the eyes. It gives them a cool look, kind of like a detached kind of, I don't know, cosmic kind of look. I don't know, but it looks cool. But
this is definitely not like, I've read so much Jim Starlin Warlock. This is absolutely, it's like a different character to me, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So
doesn't have that cosmic scope that Jim Starlin gave it. So 1 out of 10, Mike. Warlock issue 6.
I was originally going to give it a 3, but I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll probably give it a 4 as well. Let's not forget the great cover by John Romita Sr.
Right,
so,
excellent.
That helps.
And yeah, like I was saying, the art, it kind of gets better the more I look at it, but it's definitely not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's nothing that is going to make me want to read the rest of this Warlock run.
Right.
I'm like, I'm good.
Exactly.
I don't need to do it. So,
Woo!
But at least we've experienced Warlock now.
And we never have to read Warlock again, right?
Well, maybe some Starlin stuff.
All right.
You could try.
You say so. It's on my list, but now I'll have to push it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's why next week, we're not going to be reading Warlock. We're going to be reading a book that's picked by our special guest.
Oh, a special guest.
Special guest, that's right. None other than the co-host of Here Comes the Spider-Cast, Joshua Mervell, will be joining us for the first time ever. And I decided to let him pick whatever comic he wanted to read, and that's why we're going to read
Batman.
Thor, number 337, the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill.
Oh, Walt Simonson?
Yep, you ever read it?
No.
Yeah, I've maybe read it once, but I'm looking forward to this because it's not a run that I'm overly familiar with. So, yeah.
You said 337.
Yeah,
right?
I'll send you the link. Yep. Oh, and by the way, I also have to mention, we did get some, a comment on Facebook because I shared one of our episodes on like another page. It was, you remember the Spitfire and the Troubleshooters #1 review we did?
Yes.
I shared that on a New Universe Facebook page. Would you like to hear the comment?
I'm guessing it's not a nice comment.
Well, this is what it says. It says, while it's always rough to listen to people make a little fun of something you love, for the sake of having an entertaining conversation, I do appreciate that you guys take the time to do such an in-depth, page-by-page review of the first issue of Spitfire here. Isn't that great?
That is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all worth it, Mike, though.
There are two things that I'm shocked about. One, that the New Universe has a Facebook page. Why? And two, that someone loved Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. who says, "Oh, I love Spitfire," and I don't like that these guys are making fun of it, but at least they researched it.
I'll have you know, there is a grand total of 830 members of this Facebook page, and they all love the New Universe. Okay. Anyway.
It's got to all just be Jim Shooter stock accounts.
Yeah.
They can't be all. There's no way in the New Universe. I still got to do Kickers Inc. I want to read Kickers Inc. at some point.
I'm sure it'll be on the list one day. It's coming up soon.
All right, but next week it's Thor. We've never done a normal Thor issue. We did a Thor annual.
That's true. So it's been.
Never done a Thor
oh my gosh,
issue.
that was like our third or fourth episode, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
But,
yeah, you're right. All right, well, so that wraps up another episode. Join us every week as we review a different Bronze Age comic book. 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks. You can find our episodes of Flea Market Fantasy under Comic Book Syndicate on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, the Comic Book Syndicate Twitter feed, Facebook, YouTube, and the Comic Book Syndicate website. So until next Tuesday, disperse!